Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. There's a little bit of a change here, done on purpose because this episode is going to be a little bit meta, n- more so than usual on the just on what normally comes about on this channel. And I want to give a little bit of a behind the scenes part of this show. And right now, the concept of the show is something that I really didn't want to prepare on purpose because of the content that I want to give away to you guys. And that basically is when you've got nothing, when you have no creativity, you love tabletop role playing games, you have zero creativity, and what do you do with this when you've got nothing? You got nothing in the tank. You don't understand. You're trying to come up with a game or an idea or a content or a book or a module or a monster or any any number of those things, and you really have nothing in the tank. And how do you become creative on demand? And mind you, listen, I am not any particularly smart. I'm not particularly very creative, but I do have a channel that's all about turning the microphone on, turning the camera on, going live, and trying to be as creative as I can, even when the tank's empty, when I've got nothing. And part of it is I try to analyze what it is that I do, and I thought I'd just give away the give away the 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 secret sauce as it is, and it's not as unique or as special as you think it is. So for people who can only tune into the show for like 10 minutes, I'm gonna give you the basics of it, the little 5 minute rundown that I can think of as to a way for you guys to be just creative on demand. So uh, the the first part is understanding two separate things that are both um, antithetical. They're the opposites of each other, but they're both absolutely true. And the first one's pretty depressing, and that is there's no true original idea. There just isn't. Um, I understand that a lot of times we can get caught up in the people around us. Hey, what's going on there? Hey, Cam, move called. Of course, Dead Man is here as well. Thank you very much. Oh, for most of us, when we try to come up with an idea and we're enthused, man, I've got this great idea about this ancient artifact that's got power and everybody wants it. And the only way to save the world is to destroy it. And someone goes, well, isn't that Lord of the Rings? It's very easy to fall into and to allow other people to make us fall into well, that idea's already been created. You know, it's and it's true. As creative as we think we are, those ideas have already been done. It's out there already. It's been done before. I bring to you a brand new television show on Amazon Prime, and it's an animated show called Invincible. And Invincible is a four color comic book character who can, oh, I don't know, fly and has got super strength, and his dad is like Superman. Uh, yeah, it already exists, but man, Invincible's so good. The animated version and the graphic novel. The other part that's depressing about all knowing that you nothing you create now hasn't already been done before. Yeah, Dead Man says just think about how many times Spider-Man has been rebooted. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, well, we'll get into that in just a moment because I want to. I got 3 minutes left for the people who are short timers on the show. All right, every creative idea has already been expressed, but you're also better than you think you are. All right, so the two can exist and they exist simultaneously. All right, so for example, We here in the United States, we have a number of pizza places, and we've got Donato's and Pizza Hut. And somebody said, you know what? I'm going to make pizzas myself and call it Papa John's Pizza. And they've got commercials and TV, and you're thinking, well, wasn't this already done before? Sure, sure, but it's not really about the content. It's about you. And that's the most difficult part. It's not about the content. It's about your voice. It's about how you tell it. It's literally about you. And whether you want to become a content creator or novelist or just make up an adventure for the day or draw a picture or something, it's about how you tell the story. It's about how you display your creativity. It's really just about you. Movacall says after Skyrim was released, the amount of villages named Riverguard, Riverwatch, and so forth skyrocketed. Yeah, there's online. There's there's an interesting piece of art. It's a map called Clichea, and it's all like cliched locations on a fantasy map, and it's awesome. I mean, it is excellent. And as a matter of fact, I've had people make a challenge like, you know what? Why don't we just adventure in Clichea? It's a pretty good image out there. It really is. A camera says writing is like cooking. You can't invent the ingredients or the archetypes, but you can invent a very specific mixture of them. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Thank you very much, Cam. Great chefs don't recreate the ingredients. It's not like, you know what, I'm going to make my own, salt and pepper. Nope. I'm going to create my own. Now, mind you, do they try to find specific ingredients and combine them together in what they would consider a unique way? Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, most of those great chefs have learned from other chefs who have the same recipes, and technically they're giving away their own recipes when they're doing it. Literally, their creativity, they're giving it away on a silver platter to you for you to do it. And we often we often don't mix tabletop role playing games with other creative endeavors, but there's a reason why people go out to restaurants. Like, I can go out to a restaurant and get a hamburger and French fries and a nice, refreshing drink, carbonated drink on the side. Yeah, I can make it at home. I absolutely can. But there's a reason why we go out, and so there's more to it. There's more of a intangibles around creativity, and a lot of those intangibles about around the creativity are more, sometimes even more important than the creative endeavor itself. Okay, and so I'm going to give you some of the secrets to it, and although the biggest one, unfortunately, the one you're going to have to swallow down a little bit, is the fear. Yeah, you got to get up on that stage and prepare to fail. It's hard, it's difficult, it is not it's not everyone's cup of tea, and but you got to do it. You got to get it out there. If you want to be a content, let's talk online. You want to be a content creator, and you're like, man, you know what? I'd love to have a channel to talk about role playing games, but everybody else is doing it. I can't. It's not going to work or whatever. It's not about coming up with new ideas for your channel. It's being brave enough to do it in the first place. But I've heard people, there's even some really big name content creators out there who, during their downward slope, because we all go through like these sine waves of a lot of energy, a lot of creativity, boom, back down again, nothing. And we go through those sine waves. And on that downward slide, I've heard some of my favorite creators talk about, like, should I start going back into my archives and recycling old ideas because they start to run out of ideas. And the thing is that just as life keeps moving forward, there's always an idea that we can draw upon, because life gives us our ideas. And I'm going to give you where I draw my ideas from, and it's not very special. It's actually pretty small, really. But let me get into the chat. I hope you guys can see the chat beside my face if you're watching live. So hopefully it's working just a little bit. I might modify it a bit because I want your comments, because you guys are kind of you're my co-hosts, so you're kind of the stars of the show as well. And I'm trying to figure out the best way of doing it. Anyway, Movacall says, going away from the hero's journey as a process of storytelling, even in D&D, is also very difficult. Yeah, 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 you're right. So sometimes a little too difficult to get away from the hero's journey, right? It can be. Well, anyway, he goes on to say, I love that you included the chats. Now I can read the YouTube comments without having both open. Oh, yeah. I'm trying something new. And okay, so to embrace what we're doing here, I literally am trying something new that I have not practiced yet at all, because there's no way to practice a live chat with open chat windows beside me. There's no way I can do that without literally going live. And I would like you guys to learn that diving into the deep end of the pool isn't as scary as you think it will be. Because guaranteed, and I know you guys have seen this out there, guaranteed, whether you want to be a writer, an artist, a content creator, or whatever, your first time is going to be terrible. Absolutely terrible. You get that if you're the first person out on the dance floor and you want everybody to follow you, your moves are going to suck, and you're going to get people laughing, and you're going to feel extremely embarrassed because the spotlight is going to feel like it's on you. And when you're the dungeon master, it's the same thing. It's the same feeling. Like, oh my God, the only thing I have are bandits on the road. What am I going to do? But here is my simple sauce. And the simple sauce is really, my secret is thinking about the mundane part. It's not whether the big bad has a big plan to take over the universe, or where do superpowers come from? Is it a nuclear accident or an alien artifact that landed on Earth or something? It's not about a big mystery and a MacGuffin that's perfectly placed for the tabletop game, and I have exactly 28 clues that are scattered perfectly around the adventure. For me, it's not really that. It's, what does the big bad do when they're not doing anything? What is your when the adventurers are asleep and your commoners are hanging around in your fantasy realm, or your astronauts are out there in the deepest parts of space, and the evil whatever machinations are happening in your world, what are they doing in their downtime? Like, what are, not just downtime, but when they have zero idea? What is Kingpin, the Kingpin of crime in the Marvel universe, when Daredevil's finished punching all his minions in the throat? Like, what does Kingpin do when he's bored or has no idea? What happens then? You know, what, when you've got nothing in the tank, how are you creative? And that idea that you don't have any creative spark, or you had a great idea and you lost it, and you tried to grab back onto it, and you're like, oh, I wish I could have wrote it down, or I wish I could have put it in my Google Doc or OneNote or something, and you missed it. The act of not having it in itself is its own creativity. And you can take that part of not having something and start building on the blank space, that kind of stuff. It's great. It's a really great idea. Emma's like, you are building a plane while you're flying it. Be brave and take a risk. It's not a job. It's an adventure. It sure is, man. Yeah, I'll get to your long comment there, Mova. Call just a minute. Cameron says, embrace it. Embrace it and dance like an idiot into the moonlight. Absolutely. Cam says, I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from Twitter. Well, one specific tweet, the Matt Hodak Jurassic Park in real life tweet, which is that it? Elon Musk's business partner and Neuralink co-founder Max Hodak told fans in a tweet that they could probably build Jurassic Park if we wanted to, with maybe 15 years of breeding and engineering to get the super exotic novel species. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm pretty sure. And look, listen, some rando comment or something, and you guys know each week somebody will say something about something, and I'll go, "Ooh, that's a great idea." I do the whole looking up. I grab the chin, like, that's a great idea, even if I do it subconsciously. Yeah, you're all right there, Movical. Cam's like, what slice of life anime am I going to write about Demogorgon today? Oh man, yeah. What does Demogorgon do when he's like watching Netflix, got Cheetos and tidy whities on, and it's just like the other head's like, "Hey, you want to share some of that?" But what do they do? Like, what happens when you have no idea, and you could take that information and put it into your game? What if you don't have any idea? I thought about doing today's show about and this week about I've got no ideas. I have none, and embracing it. I mean, I could force something out. I'm sure there's if I tried. Um, all you guys are far more creative than I am at any given moment as the hive mind. So the other thing, of course, is listening and opening your mind and being open, whether it is a piece of toilet paper stuck on the bottom of somebody's shoe, or an errant leaf that looks like I don't know, a famous actor falls on your windshield or something, or you're tying your shoe and the shoelace breaks or something like that. Yeah, the hive mind is usually far more creative than anything, and listening to the hive mind. And when I say hive mind, not that you guys are insects in the hive, but like Cameron brought up Twitter and the interwebs and YouTube videos and TikTok videos and all that kind of stuff. Like um, opening up a book that you haven't read in a long time. Sometimes having interests that fall outside of your normal creative methods, like watching. I used to be an avid nature show watcher, and I loved Shark Week and the whole 9 yards. Man, that was my jam. Not necessarily role playing created, but I mean, it kind of. History Channel used to be my jam till they stopped showing history. What was my jam. Uh, some of those DIY shows were my thing. The Food Network, of course. Movical says, I take from my own personal experiences in my D&D. If I read a lot of books and play a lot of games, then those experiences will affect the game, lending ideas from them. And I draw from my own situation. My now 6-year running campaign started with a Viking and mountain setting, as in that. Shifted a little bit. There we go. As in that time of my life, I was working in a small town in the middle of snowy mountains with little daylight ever. Ooh, reaching the town. Oh, I've heard of the locations where the mountainous region is so tall that as the sun rises, the mountains cast a shadow and the region doesn't get any sunlight. Yeah. Ooh, sorry. Anyway, says lived in a small town in the middle of snowy mountains with little daylight ever reaching the town. Therefore, my story was one of dark mountains and strong peoples. Uh, History Channel, from the Hellenic Wars to Storage Wars. Yeah, sure did. I used to love some of the, well, shall we say, problematic histories, but they are histories, and I love them so much. Tesla puts into the Discord server the DeviantArt map of Clichea. Yeah, what a great picture. Now, One thing that I've practiced and have practiced, and I did this unconsciously for the channel, is just listening. And you guys know that, like, I do the flip flop, the in an opposite part where I'll you guys will have a joke and I take it seriously, or there's a serious comment and we make some really cool jokes about it, and it's just this. It's allowing ourselves to be open to the things that are around us, whether it's a small comment or a simple phrase or a piece of artwork or something, to inspire us, and not to look out the window and see the birds in the forest and just go, it's just some trees, and turn back into ourselves without realizing that, each day, that forest and the trees and the animals in it, each day there's something different happening. There's a whole lot of life going on out there, as small as it is, and to be inspired by it. Like, what just happened? For 2 days we've had a little bit of rain, and worms came up out of the ground, and the worms cross onto my driveway, and that very much could be a spark for an idea. You take that and turn the volume up to 11. I always do the little volume, like, hey, turn the volume up to 11. What a great, what if all those little worms were purple worms down in the deep underdark or something, and something's been flooding the underdark? Or maybe it was a natural thing. Maybe it was an evil plan, or is part of a war, or a natural process, and the leadership in the Underdark didn't think about it, or it's something that's spreading and this just happens to be a side effect. And even just right there, rain, worms, you know, opening the mind and allowing ourselves to be flexible enough to understand that, yeah, maybe every story's already been told. We don't need to remake the wheel to understand that the wheel is out there. Yet there are people who literally make wheels. They make they make chrome and blacked out rims for cars, and there's a whole industry involved in um, shall we say, redescribing the wheel with new and interesting ways, and I love it. Yep, like Movacall says, yeah, everything can be interesting, if you look at it with new eyes. Do you guys see? I'm I've got nervous eye sometimes. I know you guys will see me flick back and forth, and my eyes will flick back and forth. And I think you guys may see me uh, flicking back and forth on the chat windows. And I do that because if I don't, my screen will time out a little bit, and I've got a little nervous eye. So just understand that if I'm not looking directly at the camera, at your soulful eyes out there, oh yes, then if I'm not doing that, then the reason is because I'm just keeping my chat windows open. Oops, my microphone fell. That's all right. Uh, we will move the microphone down here ever so slightly. And there we go. Okay, sorry about that. My microphone arm just fell on me, and it happens. It's what happens when there's things that are live, and just got to be able to roll with the shit. Everything just went wrong, and not dwell on the, this fucking sucks. I'll never do this again. You're like, nope. Sometimes you gotta dive into the pool, and if it's freaking cold, you got to get out with the shrinkage and everything, and just stand up with bare chested with your speedo, and just like, yep, I did it first. Man. Cameron says one line that inspires me in different ways every time is "Life finds a way." Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Yep, life finds a way. It's and I know you guys have been kids. Remember this thing where you were children, where you would come up with a great idea, and you're maybe 7, 12 years old, 15 years old, and you have this great idea, and suddenly when you become an adult, some business creates your idea, and you're like, man, I thought of that before, right? But usually the difference is, more often than not, that yeah, somebody had that idea because they actually brought it to fruition. So if you have a classic Dungeons and Dragons like setting and you really want to get it out there, just tell it with your voice. Don't tell it in the name of somebody else's voice. Um, George R. R. Martin, George R. R. Martin's um, grand song of a song of ice and fire is just a worldwide phenomenon. And he literally just was like, I wonder what strange things happened in history. Let me tie them all together, plus some Dungeons and Dragons, and decided to like. And then he took the point of, you know what? None of my babies are untouchable. If this character puts themselves into a point where they might die, so what? They die. I'm gonna kill my darlings. As a matter of fact, the whole point of my book series is to kill off every one of my darlings, and everyone's like, oh, that was my favorite character. You know, George R. R. Martin. None of that's original, but he he became an excellent cook. He took those ingredients and put them together in such a unique way. Maybe grabbed a couple of other ingredients that we didn't think were possible, and he wasn't so enraptured by his own darlings that that he felt like he couldn't tell a better story by destroying them. Your hands like, wow, that's a lot of chats on screen. Yeah, something different. And I thought I'd practice my own. Today is me giving away the secrets of how to practice your creativity while doing something new and different. And the only way to do the new and different thing is to do it. There really was literally no way I could do. Well, I mean, I could have forced it and figured out a way to figure out how to get two chat windows open next to me, and I'm going to try to figure out how to get the bottom of the chat bolder, but I haven't been able to figure that out just yet. I'd almost have to go like, all right, guys, I need you everyone to tune in to my show while I go through all my technical issues. You guys just put in like random crap or something. That's pretty ridiculous. So nope. Malika says, never force creative ideas. All that is mental constipation. Yeah, yeah, this gets backed up, doesn't it? If you can let the creative process be natural, use any external sources and stuff around you for inspiration. Like I said, take a risk. Yep, just have some fun. It's very difficult to relax that way, but a lot of our most popular um, creators, whether they are music or sports or dance and writers and content creators, have have been able to release the anxiety or harness the anxiety. Like I don't I'm always nervous every time I go live, but I harness it in a different way by allowing myself to embrace the anxiety of trying to get something right, and instead just try to get something that helps somebody else. And it may not always be right or interesting or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah. Mike Gould says, when you're writing, never be scared to kill the thing you love for a better plot. Oh yeah, there are plenty of stories of like movie directors, and they plan out this great scene they're going to add to their movie. They've written out the story. They had their actors portray it. They film it. They spend a lot of time and energy on it. They go to the editing room and they go, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't work. And you're like, we put money into stunts. We had it lit right. We had the music, and sometimes you just need to cut it. Yeah, it's you got to cut it. Like like Richard Johansson says, you say that, but I still contest there are some that there are some that are unkillable characters. Oh, talking about the Song of Ice and Fire. Well, sure, sure, there are some, but man, are they filled with a lot that uh suffer a lot for our entertainment. Yeah, you got to follow someone in the story, and so yeah, maybe a little difficult to pass the baton from one character you're following to another, but I don't know. What's the book? World War Z. You get to follow a lot of different people, but at least you have the writer who created the treatise on how the world survived the zombie apocalypse. So I guess you are following a voice if you are a creator. Movacall says inspiration can really strike like lightning, but the problem is harnessing that inspiration to fit in. The lightning hitting the lightning rod, not the pedestrian below. Yeah, good analogy there. I like that. Meaning, sudden inspiration may not fit the setting you are doing, and will need amounts of adaptation to fit in, or you end up creating several one shots from the inspiration. You know, the I love the idea of having like Google Docs, OneNote. What are some other? I can't think off the top of my head of some cloud services like on your phone, laptop, or whatever, where you're able to jot down inspiring elements because they may not fit into what you're creating. If you're creating a dark gothic, Ravnica or um, a Ravenloft esque world for your players, and you just saw a comedy and you thought, man, this would be really funny, but it won't fit into my, you know, grim, dark, gothic setting. You can still take the idea and kind of write it down or jot it down or put it into your docs or something like that, and hold on to it later. It can be, but like Movacall saying, it can be difficult to harness lightning, right? You never know when it's going to strike, and when it does, you don't want to get burned by it, and it's fleeting as well, you know. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Movacall continues and says, I could be running a sci-fi spaceship story, then one day be immensely inspired by the life of badgers, suddenly space badgers. Nothing wrong with space badgers. I wonder what badgers collect to dam up wormholes. Hmm. You see, inspiring anyway, right? Yep, some random comment, and you're like, wait a minute. Why always space whales? We don't go space platypuses or nothing. Like, why are we like that? Oh man. I see Cam's comment. Mike Gould says, when you're writing, never be scared to kill the thing you love for a better plot. When I have writer's block, I write about what's frustrating me. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Take the frustration and use it, right? Take the thing that you're frustrated about. Man, I don't have an idea. And I really need to I need to come up with an adventure. I've got 3 hours before the game starts, and I've had work's been busy and family has been stressing me out, and I have no way to become inspired. Then take that aspect and make that your thing. Like today's Monster Monday. Maybe there's a an evil big bad that literally has no way to achieve their goal. It's the basis of for Monster Monday. This is a basic writing template. Okay, you have a character that wants something. They have a want or a need. They have a thing they want to get, and there's an obstacle in the way, and that's it. They have a want, they have a need, one, both, either of the two, and there's an obstacle in their way. And how do they go about getting it? And if your big bad is stuck for an idea, like, oh, I want to overthrow the kingdom, but all my machinations are done. Dead man's like, badgers don't build dams, that's beavers. There was a comic book called The Badger. He used to fight with like random ass crap like chainsaws and wrenches and things like that. I know M still probably still has those issues of the Badger. It was pretty cool. Sorry, I thought it was badgers. It's beavers. Hmm. Badgers dig underground, don't they? So now we've got badgers and beavers. Maybe there's some conflict in there somewhere. Hmm. Thank you, Dead Man. Mike says the unkillable character then becomes the albatross. They are not allowed to enjoy being unkillable. Ooh, somebody brought up Wolverine and Logan, right? Matter of fact, they even took that. They literally made the movie Logan came about. Of course, this came through the comic books, but the character Wolverine is a prototypical Western idea of the gunslinger that can't die, but sees everything and everyone die around them. And great, a great story, creative process taken from something from a character that normally, you know, could be pretty one dimensional. I kill things and they can't kill me, and then going, well, what happens if that's the case? Um, what does Wolverine Logan do when he's not killing people? Does he think about all the people he's killed? Probably, and there you have a story, right? uh, yeah. Ray versus Ren. Still think the Ray versus Ren fight on the Death Star in originally supposed to be set in a Duel of Fates. I listened to the song, fight played, and it's lined up too well. Hmm. There is movie and television editors have all the power on creative elements. There's whole YouTube channels that are based on like taking a different genre of, say, music or editing, and taking the same images you find in like a trailer or TV show and then remixing them. It's pretty funny. It's how much editing has when it comes to storytelling and being creative. And we could take the same. Uh, let's go back to Ravenloft a little bit, right? We know what vampires are, but we have comedic vampires. I want to suck your blood. Super, super stereotypical, right? Um, pale skin and a tall collar, and the medallion with the tuxedo and the silky cape and whatnot. But then you could get super serious with it, or take a twist on vampire. What if I was a vampire, but I want to live in society? Or what if I want to make a teen angst series of books with vampires and young people, and then you have Twilight, right? So it's not, oh, I'm going to recreate the vampire. No, we've got the trope and we know what they are, but then you just twist it just a little bit. There's a difference between Twilight and 30 Days of Night, and Dracula, and what's the comedy movie? Things We Do in the Dark, that kind of stuff. Mufa says, my issue is my inspiration strikes at inconvenient times. Oh man, yeah, yeah. Like when I'm at work, and and never when I'm sitting in front of my PC with free time. It's kind of like flat tires, right? No one ever gets a flat tire at home, or in front of a gas station or a tire replacement place. Is it Dark Shadows? Dark Shadows are very comedic. Yep. Um, uh, there was a. Is that the Dark Shadows? Is that the daytime soap or nighttime soap opera based on that as well? Man, wow, I can't remember. Movicall, of course, talked about badgers. Badgers dig burrows over generations, so eventually the badger dens will become huge and intricate given time. Great inspiration for ancient badger dens in D&D. And badgers actually have a stat block. Don't forget that. Even giant badgers. Although I wouldn't want to kill them because I don't know. Badgers are probably cute. Movicall says, if I'm stuck on what to write, I sometimes use roll tables, and whatever I find there, I can build something out of. Hot tip for inspiration and creation is to limit your creativity. Hell yeah. We humans work best creatively with limits. Give a man everything and he will build nothing. Give him planks and he will build a house. Use your setting or the theme to guide your creativity or guide you creatively as well. Movacall makes a perfect point in that one one of the strangest things about being creative is building limitations into our creativity. It's the idea of like having a blank canvas and being a painter and having every color available to you rather than saying to that same painter, I'm going to give you blue, gray, and red, and you must paint a building or you must do a self portrait. Or now you're like, oh, you're focusing the creativity down. It's why, how do I put this? It's why there are some indie games that are hyper focused down into what those indie role playing games do. You know, I have an indie game called A Single Moment, and it's literally based on it's a two-player game about two samurai reminiscing about the conflicts they had through their past life, building up to one moment where they're going to draw their swords and kill each other. That is the role playing game, and there's literally no way to get out of that. Out of that two-person reminiscing over why they're having a conflict to the death, and then they have literally one conflict at the very end, and that's it. The game, it's not about dungeon delving, it's not about a three-player game, it's not about it, it's literally one hyper focused um, um, core essential value. And I think sometimes too often we can get distracted because we get it we get influenced by a lot of things outside. Sometimes like Mufa said about sometimes you get struck with inspiration too quickly. You're like, I'm getting too many ideas. I'm gonna lose some of them. And it's like you're trying to you know, I don't know, juggle feathers or something or eggs in your hand, and you're like, you don't want to lose any of them, but you know you're going to drop at least one or more, and you're like, no, that's my inspiration. Oh man, yeah. Oh man, but building walls around your creativity is awesome. Kind of like me trying this new chat thing. I'm building a wall around the things that I'm doing to force myself to be as creative as I can in the moment. It's kind of like doing these live shows. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and friggin' do it. If I screw up, I got a plenty. Listen, there's a whole archive of things I've screwed up plenty of times. So, yeah, I think somebody's focused. Somebody has a Dark Shadow fan base. Yeah. Um, oh man, Mike Gould says when I fail to find a monster that inspires me, I slide into horror. That horror becomes inspired by nature. I have a wasp-like humanoid that injects eggs into creatures, for example. Nature, oh shit, nature. Oh, there's so much stuff in nature that I'm so surprised that isn't a Dungeons and Dragons monster yet. Or you could see little bits and pieces taken from nature where you're going like, mosquitoes and wasps laying eggs inside of people, or eye worms or bot flies or something. And you're like, yeah, that should be a monster. Mm-mm-mm. Malika says one of the best forms of advice and learning moments I've had was find your own niche and style. Be yourself, find your own voice, and create your lane. Hells yes. Oh, the chat's moved. A lot of you guys are popping in things into the chat. Sorry about that. Um, it, I think you guys have noticed that it's a bit of a balancing act to try to both, for those who are just listening, the only voice they hear is mine. But I don't want to create dead air, because when you're a content creator, you're a broadcaster, you don't want dead air. But at the same time, I also must try to stay on path as much as possible when we're having these discussions, and be inspired by the chat as well. I do this trick where I read the center of the. It's a speed reading technique where I read the center of the chat. So my chat windows tend to be narrower than most chat windows. So I narrow them down so that the number of words across the chat are not as wide for me to miss them. So my eye doesn't have to wander an extra inch to the left or right, and so I can kind of pick up what's going on in the chat a little bit. So I'm reading the chat while I'm talking. So that's a little bit of a little bit of a how do you do a live broadcast and still keep up with the chat? And I don't do a very good job at it. I'm saying that's it's a I'm literally trying to self-analyze things that I've been doing that I've never written down, but try to how is it that I come up with the creative sparks, and it's basically keeping my mind open and listening to you guys, whatnot. Uh, so anyway, getting back into the chat, like I mentioned before, um, Michael says you can take things that others take for granted and read the fine script. Like Auntie Knows Best is based on the hag eye description box that many pass over. Ooh, I did not know that. I did not know that. Ooh. You know what? You're right. Taking some things we take for granted. There's a lot of things we take for granted that are that if you took a look at them, some of them are pretty, pretty dark. Like children's fables and whatnot are pretty damn dark. But yes, absolutely. Yeah. Um yeah, check out Pathfinder First Edition, Bestiaries. Oh, hells yes. Cam says the AB show Once Upon a Time is surprisingly good for inspiration if you don't mind soap opera stuff. Terrible show, tons of fun to watch. That's another terrible execution, great concept idea. I actually liked. I think it was like the first two and a half seasons or something. I even like that. I like that. Michaels tells Cam, I tend to draw inspiration from nature documentaries or survival programs. Ooh, some of those survival shows, man, you just like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I listen, I know they were trying to find something out there, like with the Naked and Afraid, but there are some guys with YouTube channels that are survivalist, and man, oh my God, they're so creative. You're going, yeah, I get why Rangers can survive anywhere with just like a passive skill ability or something, you know. But circling back around, one of the taking what Movacall mentioned, or maybe Move's comment is over here. Anyway, taking what Move has said and combining it with what you guys are talking about being inspired by something, is that it can be very difficult for us to remain and keep inside our creative endeavor the core essential value of what we are creating. And what I mean by the core essential value is um, Disney Plus has their second show airing, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They also had their first show, WandaVision. Now, what the problem that we have as viewers of those shows, and I'm using this as an example, is that when WandaVision was airing, everybody was talking about Mephisto, X-Men, Nightmare, all the and we as consumers were not focusing on Wanda and Vision. And the show is called WandaVision. The core essential value of that show, there's a premise for the show. And that premise was Wanda and Vision. Everything outside of that has very little import to the story. You can drop little red herrings, but that's all they are. They lead to nothing. They lead to dead ends. It was about Wanda and Vision, and anything outside of that, they were not going to put into that show. A good creator will never put those extraneous elements into their show and have them pay off. That's just not it. Vampanoid's like, I mean, I use nightmares as inspiration for homebrew monsters. Yeah, nightmares. What are some? Um, I don't really have monster nightmares. Mine are always like falling. I used to wake up like because I would fall down the stairs or jump off of something and wake up before I hit the bottom. And so I always wanted to create a monster that was based on like like fears that were non-monster related. Like, of course, there's spiders and snakes and maybe vampires or something, but I never could think of a monster where you're like um, falling or public speaking and naked in front of everybody, or um, some of those social anxieties turned into a monster, or monster capability or something like that. Ooh, sleep paralysis. Ooh, what we call mentioned sleep paralysis. Demons. Yeah, ow, ow. Make a save. Why? Because there's something sitting on your chest that you can't move. You're like, fuck. Poop water gets me. I can't even. The Bear Grylls clip with the camel crap. Oh, and how many times has he drank his own urine to survive or something like that, right? Oh man. Mike Gould says writing can be an exercise in improvisation. Ask multiple people to name a person, place, or thing, and write that into something else. Ooh, you know what? Like sometimes I know we can get frustrated because we will be maybe engaging in one or more of our favorite pastimes, and suddenly, like today, for example, suddenly today, politics is on people's minds, and they get very frustrated because they're like, why does my television show or my book or my movie always go, they're going into politics and I don't like it, comic books or whatever. Somebody, what's in our tabletop role-playing game community, don't bring politics into my role-playing games. The reason why that happens, while there are people, so-called with agendas, but a lot of times it's unconscious. If you read comic books or science fiction, it's all based on what's happening now. And it's not a matter of not only is it happening now, but I have an opinion about what's happening now, but it's simply a matter of, if you read comic books in World War II, Captain America was punching out Hitler. Okay, if you read comics in the 80s, there was the nuclear threat. The child of the atom was a thing that was coming up in the 70s and 80s, and where the X-Men came from. There was, civil rights came up, literally the X-Men came about because of the civil rights era. It's a reflection of what's going on in our lives, and you want to be inspired. Those artists and writers and creators are going to be inspired by what's around them. Now, yes, you can also make the argument that, sure, there's a difference between being inspired by something and having an agenda about something, but like science fiction has always been political. It's Star Trek is literally based around the idea of taking something, transplanting it into the future with aliens to disassemble a problem that we're having in our own society. And sometimes that falls into what we're doing creatively, not with our own intentions of doing such a thing, but it happens. And I wouldn't fight it. I would just embrace it and go, well, you know what? I can't believe I'm going down this pathway because I had this argument with one of my siblings, and we just can't seem to think eye to eye. But guess what? In my game, there's a monster that's a twin of each other, or they're polar opposites or something. There was a celestial, and one of the celestial choir fell to the hells and became a fiend, but they are like two sides of the same, opposite sides of the same coin, and blah, blah, and you start taking that and putting it into your games, and you don't know why you've done that, and so on and so forth. I see you there, dead man. The blackberry cat from Shadowrun. Hmm. Hmm. It looks like a cat. Okay. It's weird. Um, Michael says, I always inject politics into my game. They may not be current politics, but there are always reasons nations, kingdoms, tribes, and other groups come into conflict. Yeah, it's like you don't need to take something current day to make it a thing, right? There's always, like, what is politics? Since the creation of people, you know? Yep. Tesla puts it from TV tropes. Yep, real life writes the plot. Sure does. There's a lot of our television shows that might be some of our favorites. And yeah, real life writes the plot. Uh, uh, and all of those COVID-19 related storylines from your procedural shows, you know, some people were like, "Can we get past it or whatnot?" Yep. There it is. Tesla puts in the COVID-19 pandemic is a particularly prominent example. Not only has it affected the ability to produce movies and TV shows, but it's also being incorporated into media that takes place in 2020 and 2021. Now, mind you, some people pushed against that because they're like, it hits too close to home, or that's about execution, right? Like a show that takes the pandemic and stretches it completely across every storyline for like 7 to 12 episodes, or a show that does, well, we're going to do a montage and we'll get it done in 10 minutes. And then at the end of that, we're going to not really talk about it as much. That's about execution. We're not talking about execution right now. We're talking about creativity. I mean, there's a terrible movie about the COVID-23 pandemic, and people have been locked away for a number of years, and there's like a whole government institution that's out there to separate the people who could be infected from the people who are immune, and they're like, they're literally taking dump trucks and trash trucks around. It's a whole thing. Not very good. Maybe a little too soon. Could have been a good idea, but yeah, I can't even remember the name of it, the movie. But oh man, whatever. Um, Michael says, I also consider myself a fan of history, weapon history, and unique cultures. Mixing and matching from that, it allows us to draw on inspiration to create something unique and reliable. I love those things. I love the. Have you guys ever checked out any channels, like video channels or podcasts that are about like, I visited this place for the first time, or I'm going to watch a video based on the differences between people who are from one part of the world and the other part of the world, or something like that, or the five things that, it's the five things that Americans do that you need to be careful about, or five great natural parks to visit, or something like that. I love that kind of stuff because it always inspires me, because it makes me go, it reflects back on myself, and I go, "Ooh, wow, man, I really do that, don't I?" Um, Lovacall says tabletop RPGs also have the fact that you are excuse me, woo, my brain just whiffed out on me. Tabletop RPGs also have the fact that you alone are not the only writer. You have the players that may add large amounts of the story and setting. The players will notice things that you alone will have difficulty seeing. Use the players, and you are no longer doing all the work. Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! Anyway, it goes on to say, I work as a nurse and have played D&D with patients with dementia. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. And the creativity and interaction from playing tabletop RPGs really challenged and gave them something. They loved being wizards and knights, but the story went all over the place. They would stop the game at various times to speak of their own similar experiences, and I took that and added it. Sadly, it was for some of them a new thing every time I brought out the dice. Wow. But even now, satanic panic versus role playing being a psychologically reaffirming tool, healing tool. Like, look how society's done that. You we could literally take the genesis of tabletop RPGs and turn that into inspiration itself. Like, in take the satanic panic of you shouldn't be doing this thing, where now it's turned into a thing that we should embrace and love. Um, it's it's awesome. It's an awesome concept. Malika says it's cool to make your creative ideas. I thought I heard something. As the zeitgeist of the moment, but don't be too preachy over it. Keep it simple and interesting. Yeah. Now I can't tell you how to listen. I don't have any advice on how to perfectly um, execute your idea. And listen, tabletop RPGs, getting into what Movical's been mentioning, is like it. Not only are your players your most creative individuals out there by listening to what they're saying about your world and about the things they're interacting with, but it's almost like being in a writer's room to write a script for something, knowing that you can only write it once, right? Instead of being able to retcon it. That's an impossibility, to be the most creative individual you can with a bunch of other people who are also writing things that you don't know what they're going to say or do, and do it at first pass and make it perfect. It's impossible. So of course we're going to make crack jokes. Of course we're going to do things that are going to fit in, and people will make a left turn and you're not expecting it and stuff like that. Wow. Oh, hey, man, two people in the medical industry talking over there in the corner. I love it though. I'm glad. It's funny the things that we are. I love how we are inspired by each other and then our own lives, and how it like comes out in our own tabletop role playing game style of creativity. I love it. I love it a lot. Yep. Yeah, like Vampiroid says, dude, I'm a nurse too, working in psych. Yeah, good place for fishing for inspiration. Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Just communing with other people who see the world differently than you, and how they see imagining a world through their eyes and then living in that world. That sounds very inspirational, although I have zero experience dealing with anyone with psychological issues, so I can't speak on that at all. um, Monster that uses phantasmal killer, the Elder Snatcher, a parasite that takes over elderly organisms and defends their peace of mind, sending out phantasmal killers to things that annoy them. The get off my lawn creature. Actually, I like that. I like that a lot. Hell yeah, I like that very much so. Yeah, Mike Gould says illusions and psionics can be a tool to create that kind of horror. You guys are already see you. I can't even pull you back. You're already finding horror and imagery and nightmares from other people's minds. And a dungeon could be a psychological dungeon. I mean, I think Nerdarchy has a recent video out about like where'd the dungeon go. The classic deep dark cavern, torches, killing things, taking their stuff. Like, where'd that go? It could literally be in someone's mind. You know, come up with some randomized why the player characters are physically inside of navigating someone else's, or maybe an entire dream realm where the players are navigating through somebody else's psychological issues. I bring to you two of my favorite visually stunning movies, The Cell and What Dreams May Come. Great, great visuals on those two movies. Some would say The Cell with Jennifer Lopez isn't the best executed, but I, I'm not as thrown off by her in the movie as some people are. But I really love the movie. It's great, where you have her and an FBI agent have to go into the mind of a serial killer to save the child who became the serial killer. Sounds pretty cool. Dead Man says, like Tim Pool talking about a recent RPG game he played in and his rogue doing a Johnny Cage split nut punch. The split nut punch. Never sure how that really, like, how you could do that in aim and whatever, but it is kind of cool. Oh man. Cameron's like, oh dude, yeah, like that episode of Warehouse 13 where they went into one of the characters' minds and had to play a D&D LARP game. That's cool. That's funny. Um, one last thing, just to give you guys a background on a hint as to what I'm doing, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, that dude DBJ, man, I could do what he can do. And the answer is probably yes, but something I try to be aware of, and sometimes this can be lost on when you guys might encounter flame wars, is uh, I assume an inflection from you guys when you guys are in the chat. So I try to read the comment as if I'm I'm trying to decipher how it is you're making the comment come across. So while someone can type out something like something simple, like "Oh man, that is so stupid," are they saying it like mean? Are they like pissed off, like, or are they putting you down, like, "Man, that's so stupid"? Are they being funny about it? So I try to decipher that, and I think without context, too often when it comes to like live streaming and chats and things of that nature, people can get thrown off by perceived negative comments. And while that does happen, uh, n- destruction does not lead anywhere. And it's like the so one of broadcaster that I watch and or listen to talked about, you can have a giant bowl of vanilla ice cream with a fly that lands on top of it, and when you ask someone what do you see, they always see the fly. And negative comments and destruction don't lead anywhere because they don't leave an open ended process of creativity like you guys are doing. So in other words, let's say we're going down this pathway of dreams and nightmares, and the PCs have to navigate through a world where the older elderly people in the world are the ones who are creating these nightmare images, and we don't want to hurt them, but um, their their life experiences are being made real to us, and someone goes, "You know what, that idea is stupid." All that does is end the sentence with a period. It leaves nothing open. It's not a, I hear what you're saying, maybe we should go in a different direction. That's more creative, that's more building something in another direction. uh when people hate on something, they leave nothing they leave nothing else. They're not value added to the discussion. Even if you dislike something, if you're descriptive in your dislike, and I don't mean how much you hate it, but talking about, maybe a better way of telling the story would have been this way, or here's the thing I liked out of the thing I didn't like, or what have you. That's far better. That's far better. Vampanoid's like, yeah, your assumption of positive inflection means you're mostly a positive person. Yeah, I could say that. Anyway, it goes on to say, you can tell who's nice or a jerk if you say, "I hope you get everything you deserve." Ooh, nice people are like, "Oh, thanks," but jerks get angry and defensive. I love that. Yeah. Yep. You know what? Yeah, you tell somebody, "I hope you get everything you deserve," or someone says something to you and you say, "Yep, same thing to you." You're like, "What does that mean?" I You told me to have a great day, and I said, "Same to you." Yeah, you're right. You were so right on that, Vamp. Yeah, you're like, yeah, you could tell. I assume I I I float positive when it comes to things like that, and I tend not to flatliners. Yeah, the movie Flatliners had the characters literally temporarily dying to enter another reality. That's a Flatliner. That's another great one with great visuals. Mm 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 mm. Mm-mm-mm. But all right, guys, I've gone well over an hour. I really got to get out of here, but just want to let you guys know that that finding creativity in the small things, not, and when I say you, there might be people who might come back to this video or listen in or something like that, and They may or may not be able to see the comments. I hope if somebody does see the comments, they become inspired by what you guys have written into the comments beside my head here. Um, and to know that there really isn't any secret to practicing creativity. It is just opening your mind. Strangely enough, two things that are opposite: opening your mind, being open to all the little nuances that are around you, while at the same time narrowly focusing your creativity so that that pressure that the pressure that makes a diamond starts to focus your creativity. If you say, okay, here are the things I'm not going to go out of. I'm going to use lizardmen, and I'm going to use greyhawk, and I'm going to only, this is going to be a third level adventure, and it's going to, the big bad's going to be a pit fiend. Like, focus yourself down and go, this is what I'm going to do. That's it. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much there, Dead Man. By the way, guys, please go over to levelup5e.com. Levelup5e.com. You say, well, why do that? Well, N-World, those of you who understand what N-World is, N-World is a publisher and writer. They have the Insider, which is a newsletter, but N-World has also produced a number of Kickstarters, and I happen to be part of an extremely large Kickstarter that it will be happening soon. Hasn't launched yet, and it is Advanced 5th Edition Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, Level Up 5e is Advanced 5th Edition. It is not Pathfinder. If you go over to levelup5e.com, you will find all the playtest materials that are available for you guys to look at. As a matter of fact, the 16th playtest has been released, and there are over 170 combat maneuvers. Essentially, they are the combat maneuvers that are like non-magical combat abilities written in the form of like spells for mages. So they are for the martial classes that you can learn that are taken to different schools and traditions, and use those combat abilities in the game. Very cinematic abilities, fighting back to back, punching people in the throat, and all that kind of business. I say that a lot, but it's all about that. That's the 16th one. Every single character class has been rewritten from the ground up, with significant changes at every single level. You'll see all of that. And then, of course, the Game Master side of the game hasn't been released. I am promoting this because I happen to be one of the many brilliant contributing writers to the endeavor of Level Up 5e. And I had a help in writing the exploration section, which is going to be just as big as the combat section. So please check it out. Go over to N-World, see what they're talking about. You can take part in the surveys to have this game flow in the direction of something maybe you're looking for. So please do that. Please go over there to Level Up 5e. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for allowing me to start this experiment. Let me know if you like the chat windows being here. I'm not sure. I could actually get rid of my face completely, or maybe I'll try to do something where I'm like down in the corner or whatnot. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. And thank you for really just allowing me to be me. So, guys, thank you very much. Have a great one. I'll see you later. Bye. Thanks for watching.